How's it going, everybody? This week I'm going to be showing you the shop as it is. Currently it is March 2020. I kind of wanted to do this video to give you guys an idea of what the shop looks like before I do some new shop projects this year. So let's go ahead and take a look. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is this bench over here, and this I built back when I was first getting into cars. I needed a work surface to work on. I had these toolboxes which had a lot of my automotive tools, but I needed a proper workbench, so I built this maybe 6 or 7 years ago now. And yeah, it's gone through a lot of different changes over time, and I've put different things under here, but I'm really liking the current configuration. So one of the most recent things I did is I added this big pegboard here and also did a few French cleats on the side. And these are my most commonly used tools, so I just have them readily available. The rest of them live in some of these drawers over here. Also, right in the middle of it, I mounted this TV, which was really inexpensive during Black Friday at Best Buy, and I just have it for playing some music and playing different maker videos that I like to keep playing while I'm in the shop. So the next thing I want to show you, which I'm pretty proud of and I recently did a big overhaul on, is this whole miter saw station. And this miter saw station I built about a year or so ago, and I'll have that video linked in the description. I actually did a video on building this. It's very similar to the one that Bob from I Like to Make Stuff built. But at the time I didn't have a table saw, and I really wanted to make this organizer using dados and such, but I kind of held off on that. I had the organizers, and I recently actually built that, and now I have organization for all my different hardware and screws. So I've really enjoyed having this and using this. And on top of that, I've organized a lot of my spare parts. So if you have ever watched Mythbusters, you know that Jamie Hyneman at M9 had a huge wall of boxes that he built to store all sorts of different spare parts that they'd use in experiments and builds. And I wanted to do something similar because I do have a lot of random stuff and I wasn't sure how to organize it, and I really like this. I'm actually going to be separating these out with shelves so I don't have to take off the ones on top to get to the ones that are below. This is also where I house my miter saw, which I don't use as often anymore because I really like using the table saw for crosscuts, and I am going to be building a crosscut sled for that soon. But I shrouded it off just like Bob did for his miter saw station build, and I've seen a couple of other people do it as well, and even tested it to kind of get an idea of the amount of dust coming out in front of it, and it's greatly reduced it just from what I've seen. I still need to add a vacuum to suck the dust out from behind it because I have closed it off. I just haven't gotten around to doing that yet. Down at this end, I have this tool organizer which I recently built, and I'll have that linked in the description. Actually, if there's any shop furniture in here that I've made a video on, I'll just have those linked in the description, so if you're interested, go check those out. But here I have the majority of my Ryobi 18-volt power tools, but I really like this thing so far. I haven't been using my Ryobi drills and drivers as frequently because I really love my new Milwaukee 12-volt ones, but this thing has worked out great. I also keep my saws and router in here as well. And right next to it we have some parts organizers. A lot of the stuff that was in there was just randomly thrown in there, and I ended up separating all that out and putting it in some of these organizers. And these are just empty and waiting to be filled with whatever other hardware I get in the future. Quick tip, if you guys buy hardware in small little packages or remove hardware from stuff, just make sure that when you put it away, don't just throw it in a generic bin. Make sure you put it in something labeled. It makes it so much easier. I had to spend like half a day going through all the stuff that was in there and labeling it to be organized inside of the parts bins. So don't do that. Just organize them from the get-go and save yourself a lot of time later. So directly in front of the miter saw station, there's definitely room to walk and move around, but I have this old table that I used to have in the corner of the garage I now have out here, and I have my sanders and my bandsaw. And when I get around to getting a drill press, I still don't have one. I just haven't quite found the need to have one yet. That will also be mounted here, as well as a bench grinder possibly. But for the time being, this is the sanding table. I also need to put all of my power sanders and such inside of this cabinet. And it also has my bandsaw, which I don't use as often as I should. You can do a lot of cool things with a bandsaw. I just don't use mine that frequently. And down here right next to it, we've got the organization carts, which I did make a video on this, so I'll also have those linked in the description. But I've loved these. I can have all my supplies, so if I'm working on a project, I can just take them with me, and it is super, super convenient. In the heart of the shop, we've got this table saw, which it is a Ridgid R4152, I believe is the model. You can find it on Home Depot's website, but I absolutely love this thing. It has quickly become probably my favorite tool now, and it also doubles as additional workspace occasionally when you need it. And right behind it, we've got the big assembly table, which that is kind of in disarray, and there's supposed to be storage being built to go under it. I just haven't gotten around to doing that yet. And I've got a upcoming project sitting on there, so we can ignore that for now. But yeah, that is just a simple 2x4 and plywood assembly table that I built when I was first putting the shop together. So over here we have material and paint storage. This paint storage rack I built a while ago now, and it actually was bigger and held a lot of my consumables. But since I built those carts, I broke it down and just added more racks for paint instead, and I've really loved it so far. I do need to make it a little shorter because it gets in the way of this attic door that's right above it. But I really do like this, and as you can see, I've got it organized mostly based off of colors, primers, satin, gloss, clear coats, metallics, etc. When I first built it, there was maybe only a few racks, and that was enough for the paint I had, but over time I got more, and I started not having room for it. So I'm really glad I did this. I've got room for the paint I have and room for more in the future. So this right here is the material storage, which I've got all my smaller scraps down here, and I've got a few larger pieces of sheet scrap right here. So plexiglass metal, different sheets of plywood, and above it we've got different things like leather, different types of tubing, some larger pieces of scrap, and then above it we've got foam. This is all different types of foam, so styrofoam, floor mats. This is a big box of foam chunks. I haven't done a lot of foam making in a while for costumes or props or anything, especially since I got the 3D printers, but it is something I'd like to do more of, and hopefully I'll be doing soon. And on the bottom side of this shelf, all this is just kind of old car related things, which I either need to get rid of or just put somewhere else so I can make some more room in the shop. And over here we've got the newest addition to the shop, which is going to be this electronics workstation. Once I cleared out this corner, I didn't quite know what to do with it, but I realized I actually wanted to move my 3D printers out here and have a place to tinker with electronics without having to go back in the house and back out here. So I've got a computer set up here, and I can do any sort of programming with the Arduino out here, not having to go back in the house to upload code and test things. Granted, I don't do much with the Arduino and electronics. I'm still learning a lot, so but I really wanted to have a space dedicated for that. I also got it set up with these wall control panels, which I have courtesy of Richard from Wall Control. I got them while I was at Workbench Con, so big thank you to him. I've really loved using these, and I'm actually considering replacing that whole pegboard panel back there with them as well. If you have any questions about the wall control panels, make sure to leave a comment and I will do my best to answer it. And I'll also have their website linked in the description, so you can go check out all the panels and different accessories that they make for them as well. Over here we've got the resin printer, which is actually broken right now, but I'm working out a warranty claim with Anycubic, and I should be able to get that fixed soon. And below the bench I've got my AlphaWise U10, which is my big 400 by 400 FDM printer, and I still have room to expand and add a couple more printers if I'd like. And in the smallest corner of the workshop, we've got this paint booth right here. It's a really simple paint booth that I just made out of a shelf. I just added some walls, and I've got a Lazy Susan in here. It's really mainly for painting small parts, and it doesn't even have ventilation. It's just to keep overspray from getting on stuff. And below there, I've got my Wagner paint sprayer, and next to it, I've got the third cart that I made when I made my carts, and that has my airbrush, different spray cans, airbrush paints, and just various acrylics and enamel paints. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to go check out some build videos, make sure to click up here. And if you want to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos, make sure to click down here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.